RGA. Every day, RGA is focused on revenue generating activities in our communities. Priceless connections that we're creating. Wall Street networking, Main Street pricing in a fun and effective way. RGA, networking that works for today.
Well, hey, everybody.
Howdy. How are you today, John?
I'm good.
I'm Matt Coots with RGA Network. Welcome to I guess we can say this is episode 1 of our revitalized, revamped, better than ever podcast, Revenue Generating Hour. We're really excited. Like I said, I'm Matt Coots.
I'm John Gaston with Area 52 Media Group.
Yeah, fantastic. So, and we are joined by Lindsay White. Lindsay, why don't you come in, do a quick little introduction, then let's spend some time getting to know you.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Lindsay White. I'm a Florida native living here in St. Pete, and I'm with Easy Street Capital.
Fantastic. So you're a Florida native, one of those rare birds that actually has...
There are some of us. There's like 5 to 6, maybe.
I can't say anything. I'm a transplant. Even if I have been coming here since I was a little kid visiting my grandparents. So, apparently my
talk
voice,
to the mic.
Unlike John's, my voice is not as loud as soon as I get into a podcast. John does, so if anybody knows Mark O'Donnell, when he starts talking in a room full of people, he's like 10 decibels louder. So John does that in a podcast.
He needs no microphone nor speakers.
No microphone.
Because he will make you deaf.
He just needs an audience. That's it.
That's it. Just give him a crowd. It's all good.
Give him a crowd. So tell us a little bit about, like your life. Tell us about who is Lindsay White. Tell us.
Well, if I told you my whole life story, it would put you to sleep, which that may be the purpose of this. I have no idea.
I will challenge that. Your life story would not put anyone to sleep because you've had some crazy things happen to you. So I will challenge you on that one.
True. So true. And that information is available on my website for a later time. Like I said, born and raised here, went to Florida State for my undergraduate. Moved to North Carolina to start my career in banking. And ever since 2009, I've been in some lending capacity. I realized my affinity for real estate in, I would say, 2012 through lending, and realized that that area was something I wanted to continue exploring. Most recently, I retired from my conventional mortgage lending career, which, buying houses, refinancing, all the normal stuff that everyone across the country does. And I have entered into a really cool world called hard money lending. It's probably not what it sounds like. It's essentially same as cash, and it's for investment properties. So hard money is best used for those people that want to build and grow their investment portfolio, possibly to retire early. And hard money is great when you're looking to get a property really quick that needs a quick close for whatever reason. We don't have appraisals or surveys. And then that loan is used to buy the property. You fix it up, and then you either flip it and sell it, or you can hold on to it as a rental or Airbnb, which is what everyone's coming to Florida for right now. Vacation, and then they stay.
It is one of those places where you get here and you just end up never wanting to leave. I mean, it's so funny. I was supposed to go back. So I'm from Ohio originally. I was supposed to go back and visit my family 2 months ago, and they keep asking me every week when I'm coming, and I'm like, I'm too busy, and it's about to start getting cold. So now you're either gonna have to come down here in the winter, or you're gonna have to wait till next summer. Sorry, guys. Love you. I'm sure you'll watch this and think I hate you. I don't, but. Yeah, so, okay, so that's cool. Go into a little bit more about, like, the hard money lending versus, like, traditional lending for me. Just because I'm a novice in that world, so if you pretend like you're talking to me directly, because that'll cover most of the people out there, I feel.
Sure, of course. So I'm going to break it down into kind of 4 ways, that someone would buy any piece of real estate. Number 1 would be cash. That's obvious. You have money in the bank, you buy the thing. The second would be a mortgage. These are your traditional mortgages that you get from a mortgage broker or even a local bank, up to 30-year fixed. Everyone's heard of that. And that's generally for your primary residence where you're going to plan on living. It's not that you can't use a mortgage for other things. That's just, again, the majority. So we've got cash and we've got mortgage for primary. The next one would be commercial lending for anything not a single family residence that you're going to live in. This can go up to as big as apartment buildings and office complexes, or it can be as small as a duplex, maybe that you want to invest in and buy. So when you get to here and you go, okay, I can go to a bank and get a loan, but what if I need to close next week? Generally, banks have appraisals and they're going to take up to 30 days. The terms are different as well. And the underwriting is a fancy word for checks and balances. That is very difficult for someone to go through. They're going to rip apart tax returns. They're going to look at everything under the sun, including your firstborn child and maybe even your blood type. I'm kidding, but you get the point. It's a difficult process. That money is really good for certain areas. The fourth area is hard money. Okay, quick. I want you to think of hard money as quick. It's just like a cash offer. So if there's something you need to close quickly is when you would go to a hard money lender. It cannot be used for a primary residence. So I want to make that very clear. That's mortgages. That's different, traditional mortgages. But the fourth would be hard money, same as cash, quick close. Those are kind of the four ways that you would go about acquiring any piece of real estate.
So, and I could be way off base here, but if you're looking at a property, could you basically say you have a cash offer then?
100%. It is. Okay. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. What else? So what made you switch? Because how long were you in traditional lending for?
I've been lending in some capacity for almost 13 years.
Okay. So what made you switch to more of the hard money side versus the traditional? Like, why did you decide, you know what, kind of done with that. I'm gonna do this the different concept, I guess you could say. I don't know if it's.
Yeah, I get that question. I get that question every day. There's two parts to that answer.
I love asking questions that everyone else asks. That's how I pride myself on. Just keep going. Sorry,
Matt. You are the GP. You're the general public. I just have one person. So there's two. For me, there's two sides to that question. The first is, as a commercial lender, which is what I did first, and then as a mortgage lender, I was asked two to three times a month if I knew anyone in hard money. I literally had to sit there and Google what is hard money. Like, I didn't know. Also, didn't know anyone to refer to. So that's the second part to the answer. I'm going backwards here. So it was like, well, I don't know anyone. How do I find this part of the world and explore? The backup to that was about 10 months ago, I was diagnosed with a life-changing disease that is going to change the course of my life at some point, and we don't know when. And then 5 months after that, I was diagnosed with another rare blood disease. Then they compete with each other. So when you put all that together, and I'm dumbing this way down.
Just a little bit.
But when you put all, what?
I said just a little bit, and that's okay.
That's okay. When you put all that together, it makes you look at life a lot differently. And until you are faced with a challenge in your life that challenges you to literally look at every single minute you spend and say, what is that minute worth? Is that 30 minutes worth $50 in my hand? Or that conversation I had with someone that I don't really get anywhere? So when you think about life that way and say, what is my value and what is my time? I was kind of hitting, not to brag, but I kind of have to. I was the top lender in my division for many years, President's Club, first female to win President's Club. I got there. I did it. I love mortgages. It was great. And it's tough. Just anything in sales is tough. But I was kind of like, I'm not sure the company and where I was is what I was going to do long term, especially knowing I may only have so long on this earth, which we can all say. I understand that. But really actually being presented with something in your face that is stopping you, and then looking at, well, what do I love? I love real estate. What is this hard money thing that everyone asked me about? And I had no idea. So my goal is to teach and educate first and foremost. I always say, I never say no. take that how you will. But what I really mean by that is, even if I can't help you right now, I'm going to find someone, something, or an article to coach and educate and put you towards whatever goal you, or whatever problem you come at me with. So even if you're not my client at the moment, or maybe we need to wait a little bit, you name it, I will find a connection for you. So in my world, the path may not always be straight. There might be some U-turns. There might be some roundabouts a few times, but it's always where I'm always going to help you get to that next place. And I'm going to do it through real estate and essentially finance education. I find myself doing that a lot, and I enjoy it.
Very cool. And we didn't really talk too much at the beginning about RGA Network. Obviously, Revenue Generating Hour is a members only podcast. So we're bringing you like the professionals that are in our network. Case in point, Lindsay is a part of our network. She has the entire network to be able to plug people into.
Right.
Adds several hundred people as of this count. I think it's like 600-ish people to the network that she can connect with, help impart some of that education with. And that's something that's obviously really important to us too, is, she's very focused on that one piece of education, but I know Area 52 Media is one of our sponsors on the media side, and they're helping with RGA Speaks and doing these live events where we're live streaming out to all of our members, the knowledge that we find inside of RGA to help our members grow in their businesses, grow in whatever it is they're trying to accomplish. So I thought, hey, let's get Lindsay up, because I know that she's kind of in that same thing. And Lindsay this hasn't gone out live yet, but Lindsay is actually one of a few people that's really heavily involved in starting the Women's Council for RGA.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so we're going to have it's going to be a once a month thing. All of the women in RGA, all of the women of the wonderful women of RGA. What are we calling it? Wine and wisdom, something like that.
Women with wine and wisdom.
Not to be confused with WWW.
You get enough wine in there, and it could be.
There we go. So I love it. That's fantastic. So the key differentiators between like you and competition, it doesn't really sound like you have too much competition on the hard money side, because your company is they've been around for a long time, right? The company you're with?
Yes.
And did you say
technically since 2008. So yes, but I will, yes, there are people that play in this space. We do have competitors. I do find that I have to save a lot of deals last minute because those competitors can't compete. So do with that what you will. However, I would say the biggest differentiator would be the no appraisal, can close in 48 hours or less if we have to, and no FICO minimum. So those are where I really find when I say that, people just go, yeah, I can't compete with that.
Right.
But okay, so no FICO minimum. But what do they need to bring to the table?
So we work with first-time investors a lot, and I love it because I get to mold them and help and connect them. So I'm not saying you have to have a bunch of money, but I'm also not saying you can't have $0.
Right.
There's also ways around it. I can reduce or eliminate your cash to close by using other real estate. Let that sink in. I can reduce or eliminate your cash you have to bring to the table by using other real estate. Super cool. Not going to give that up right now on how I do that, but I will find ways for sure.
But so if I'm a first time investor and I actually want to, so say I want to start buying and renting out homes, and all my money and all my capital is locked up in my own house, I can come to you and go, okay, I want to get started.
I have a cool way to do it, and I am not saying it out here. You can call me, text me, go to my website, but yes, I can help you.
That's called a call to action.
Yeah.
I like it.
Well, why am I going to sit here and tell everyone and give them my intellectual property? I mean, I'm here for a reason.
But my question was, that's possibility though.
Yeah, that's possible.
That's not out of the realm of possibility.
It's almost 4 p.m. right now, and I'm going to say 5 hours ago, I just had this conversation with a lady that lives in South Florida, and we're doing an investment for her in Georgia, and I'm doing exactly what I'm not talking about right now.
Okay. Well, all right there.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know what to ask now.
I know. Okay. So differentiation. You can utilize other real estate to offset the money you need to bring to the table if you don't have a ton of cash, but you see a deal that you just got to have. I mean, that's never a bad.
Yeah, because everyone wants to start somewhere, and that's probably where most people get gun shy. And all I say is, and I tell this to everyone, give me one opportunity. Call me, text me, have a conversation. If anything, I'm going to be able to teach and coach you on what you need to do in the next month or so to help get you there. So I'm not saying it'll happen today, but I'm also not saying it's not feasible at all.
Right. Awesome. So in reality, you kind of put together a plan for them to get to that point if they're not there yet.
Correct.
Awesome. Okay. Well, let's do this. How can people get a hold of you?
So 2 ways. You can go to my website, and if you do that, my website has video testimonials, because I know I can say things all day long, but until you hear someone else testify, all I'm doing is singing my own praises, which nobody wants to hear that. So there's video testimonials at the bottom. You can also click the link on my website. One says learn more, one says get started. My phone number is all over the internet, everywhere. And I said that on purpose. Hope you know what movie reference I'm talking about. Or my cell phone, you can always just send me a text, and that's 813-344-7896.
Or you can join her at a local RGA meeting there.
Or you can come to an RGA meeting. Chances are I'm probably at it.
So awesome. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. We appreciate you as a member, and we appreciate you giving your time so freely and
Absolutely.
always being supportive. So we will.
Of course. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, guys. We appreciate you being the general public molded into one. So that's great.
There you go. Fantastic. Pleasure. All right. Thanks, guys.
Have a good afternoon.
Well, that was a good interview.
Yeah.
everybody, welcome back. That was a good interview with Lindsay.
That was a great
Right?
interview.
I mean, it's like, that's a lot of stuff.
You know, and we threw the people that are joining us today into
Under a bus.
Yeah, we threw under the bus.
Under the big RGA bus.
We threw them into this very, very quickly. You know, they didn't have like a week to prep for this interview.
No,
or
they
anything
did
like that,
not.
so.
In a way, I feel bad, but in a way, it kind of tests them to see if they really know their stuff. And they're all, it's you're either always on or you're always off. That's
Exactly. So welcome back to RGA Network and the Revenue Generating Hour. We're joined by Christiana Carter.
And you know what? I got to say something. So we did. I streamed the RGA Speaks a couple weeks ago, right?
Yes.
And I have been in this networking world just like Miss Christiana has. I have been in it for almost 20-something years, right? And I've worked with some of the big boys. I mean, I didn't, when I say I work for them, I work for the production companies that work for them, like Tony Robbins and all these guys. And, after a while, you just become numb to all that stuff that you hear. And it's like, oh my God, you're just regurgitating everybody else. It's Zig Ziglar. It all goes back to Zig Ziglar in my world. It just really does. It just all goes back to there. And someone just finds a new way. But when she spoke, and I told this to my RGA group too, I said, I got stuff out of her. I didn't think of it that way.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, I learned something tonight, and I'm Mr. Know-it-all, Mr. Hard-headed, won't ever say I learned something, but she taught me something. And I'm like, wow, never thought of it that way. And I actually plagiarized her at another networking group and I gave a little talk, and I'm like, and I hate to say the word little, I gave a talk, right?
Okay.
And I used a lot of what she said, and then people in the room, you could see the light bulbs going off. They're like, never thought of it that way. Never thought of it that way. Oh, I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
So
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Good for you, because you made the old guy go, huh, I learned something.
Yeah. So earlier, when we were getting ready, I had told John probably 15 times what time the first interview was.
Right.
He didn't listen.
I didn't
so
listen.
15 minutes before that, he's like, when are we starting? I'm like,
Right.
I said 3:30 probably like 15 times, John. He's like, I don't listen. So congratulations, you got through to him. I told him I was going to start carrying around giant flashcards of when the next interview was, just to keep,
Right.
because he's not listening. So I thought maybe visually it'd be more impacting.
Yep.
So
So let's introduce this wonderful lady.
yeah, so Christiana obviously is she's a member of RGA. Obviously, as everybody that jumps on here this is our membership only podcast. It's another benefit of being a member with RGA is the ability to be showcased in front of our audience, right?
Yep.
Whether that be online, whether that be at RGA Speaks, and all of that. So, Christiana, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody, give everybody a little history lesson. Who are you?
Perfect. My name is Christiana Carter, and I have been a clarity coach for over 25 years now. And I started organizing people's spaces. And what I realized early on is that if your space doesn't reflect how you think, you're not going to be able to maintain it. And then what I realized is, first of all, everybody processes, stores, and retrieves information differently. Like a fingerprint, we all have our way. Yet we all look outside of ourselves to someone else for the answers and then wonder why it doesn't work. So then I moved from organizing people's spaces to really organizing their minds, organizing how they're thinking, unpacking their minds so then we can reduce that stress, reduce that tension, and get the clarity that we're looking for so we can move forward powerfully with what we're building and creating. And I have worked with I've mapped hundreds of minds. I've worked with thousands of people teaching clarity and organization from stage. I've worked from people just starting over to people who are ultra wealthy. My most notable client was Steven Spielberg. I did not work with him directly, but I worked with his business assistant, his second business assistant, his personal assistant, the company that managed all of his intellectual property and created a system for them to communicate better. And then I created a manual of everything running in and out of his property at home. So I like to say, there pretty much isn't, you're not going to be able to throw anything at me that I haven't been able to work at some degree. And I've worked across so many multiple industries that I have a little bit of every industry in my head based on people that I've organized. And I don't need to know your industry to be able to figure out and map out how you think.
I love it. So let me just say, I can't wait until she says the most notable person that I've ever mapped their brain is Matt Coots. Just saying.
Oh, I can't wait.
So Christiana has helped quite a bit. She just with what we've got going on in RGA, there's just so much going on. If you haven't been to a meeting in a while, this podcast is just one of the 15 different things that we have right now that we're doing between RGA Speaks, the university, which reminds me, I have to send you the new logo I made. It's pretty cool.
New logo, see?
There's an RGA university logo now. I know.
Oh, I love that.
And Christiana, I haven't even told you this. There's a women's council, RGA Women's Council, that's starting. So,
great.
Yeah, so I need to get you the information because I think that would be a lot of fun. And it's just going to be a once a month meeting. There's probably going to be wine involved from what I understand. I don't know.
I love it.
I won't be there, so I don't know. John might crash. You never know.
I don't know. I'm not a wine guy. But I do. Something that that I try to tell people is, especially ladies, is that when you're reorganizing, just make sure you don't reorganize the nothing box for the dudes, because we need that nothing box. That is a big deal for us.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Well, and when it comes to partners and organization, one of my favorite things is the partner always has all the ideas for the other person, not themselves, right? So I always say, you got to play on your side of the fence. I'll handle the other side. You play on your side of the fence, right? Because what works for your brain is not your partner's brain. So don't inflict upon them your viewpoints, right? Let them thrive in their way, and then you thrive in your way and come together and create something beautiful.
Exactly. See?
Well, that is one of those things that I see with a lot of like partners and things like that, is that they will step on somebody's idea and squash it instead of following that to its logical conclusion and letting them actually flush out their idea and see if there's anything in there that's worthwhile. Because, oftentimes, I go down rabbit holes all the time. Mark goes down rabbit holes all the time.
I live in a rabbit hole.
And it's
I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's knowing when is enough.
I've begged to be back in the box, and no one will let me back in that box.
No, the box is sealed.
Ever.
It's sealed.
I don't understand it. I know I've made them mad, but you know what? Forgiveness is a thing, but it's just not happening for me. So
okay, so we will rabbit hole today, because just in case you didn't know, this is the last podcast of the day of two. Granted, but we had to set up a lot of stuff today because this is the first time we're filming these. John got done from traveling to West Virginia, was it?
I went to West Virginia, and I left on Thursday and got back late last night, and my brain is just, it needs to be organized.
I'm a little slow.
Well, then you're in the right place.
Right.
So tell us, I want to say what differentiates you from your competition. That was one of the questions that I wrote down. But I don't necessarily like there's competition, and then there's what you do. Like, what you do is not necessarily something I'd say there are, I'm sure, other coaches that are out there that do this sort of thing, but I feel like you do it in kind of a unique way. So just tell us a little bit more about like your process and what kind of like that unique or different perspective that you bring to the table, and how you work through that with people.
Thank you. First of all, that's a great question. And what makes me unique is that I have this ability to unpack your mind in a way where you find your own clarity. I'm not there to add anything to what you're doing. I look at it this way, that if we're saying life is a car and we're driving along, right, our car's getting muddy. And at some points in our life, we all know that we feel like we've been off-roading, and now like our windshield's covered with mud and we can't quite see, and we're like driving our lives by braille. And I am the windshield wipers that comes along that takes what doesn't work out of the way so you can see where you're going. And I haven't met anybody doing what I'm doing. It really evolved from seeing that there was a need and realizing that if you can organize someone's brain, if you can organize how they're thinking, all of a sudden then everything else can fall into place, and it doesn't require the same level of effort. The challenge is if you think of a computer, right? How many tabs do you generally have open on your computer? Right? Okay, come on, answer that question. No judgment.
9, 10, easily 9, 10.
Wow.
See,
Okay,
drives
that's
me crazy. So like I'll have maybe like 4 or 5, but here's what gets me: when you have multiple browser sessions open with like 20 tabs, because Mike does that. I'm like, dude, your computer is slowing down, and you've got that thing upgraded. There's no way it should, and then there's like 15 browser sessions open.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Matt, exactly. You just said exactly what I do. We have so much stuff coming at us. You may only have a few tabs open. I just met someone today that had over 30 tabs open on their computer. Now, think about that in your mind. Every time you start a project or you have, I call them open cycles, right? Something that you want to do, something that you're managing. We hold everything up here in our head. The challenge is, how do you close a tab in your mind?
Right.
Nobody's talking about that. And the only way that I've found to do it effectively is by a tool that I created called clarity mapping, where we literally dump everything that you're handling on paper, and then your brain naturally sees what's important, and then it will self-select. All of a sudden you'll be like, oh, wait, this is important. Oh, let me think of it this way. We categorize how you're thinking about it, and then all the stuff that's unnecessary goes away. And I've never met anybody else that helps you close the tabs in your mind. And unless you intentionally do that, we all know we have to organize our house, or things build up. And the more it builds up, our tension goes up. The more it builds up, our stress goes up. The more it builds up, we start dropping things. We stop following through. All of that eats away at our credibility, our productivity, and our bottom line. However, if you don't have that for your mind, you just end up slowing. So when you hit 40s, 50s, it's like, oh, I'm not as effective as I once was. Oh, I have that brain fog. Oh, I'm forgetting things. Most of that is too many tabs open on your computer, and you just haven't had a download to reset it.
She had to throw that 40 figure in there, didn't she? She just had to. She's kind of like, had to stick it in.
What's wrong with 40?
Nothing.
40 is
I'm down
easy.
Here. I just arrived.
Jeez.
The air is wonderful. Come on in.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
It's refined.
You,
there we go.
When you're 16 years later, then yeah, you can start worrying about that kind of stuff.
So I love that term, open cycles. I think I don't remember 100% the study that I read. It was something along the lines of when you start switching from one activity to another activity, or one thought to another thought, and they're like diametrically, or they're just different, right? It takes something like 15 minutes to really like be able to refocus on whatever that task is when you get interrupted or you have something else going on.
It does, right.
And
Yes.
all day long, we're putting out fires, we're answering the phones, we're looking at emails that come in. So we're constantly being pulled, even if we are trying to limit those open cycles, right? We're constantly getting new cycles thrown at us.
Yeah.
Just popping up. So that's clarity mapping, right? That's the process of like unpacking that and dumping it. Do you have any tips for like when you're going through your day to try and remain focused as opposed to letting all these other tabs open up?
Absolutely, yes. And so clarity mapping is the unpacking of your mind, where we start pulling all that information out and getting it on paper. So that's the first step. Then the next step is, how do you maintain it? How do you keep it clean? How do you empty your mind every day? Being able to really look at that. So that's a really good question. One easy thing that you can do is make a list. And I have to say here that I find that there's two types of people, and I just need you to identify what you are. So there's the people that default to paper, that if they're going to write something down, they're going to grab it, they're going to grab a pen, a notepad, or whatever, and or Post-it notes. That's a big one. You're going to write it on paper. Or you're somebody that when you're going to make a note, you're going to open an app or record it that way. So just so we can stay engaged, John, which one would you be, physical or digital?
I'm neither. Everything.
How do you mean?
I don't write anything down, which is probably horrible, but and I don't use an app. But everybody around me, even my own technical guy, Rob, he'll in the studio goes, "How do you keep track of all that crap?" And it's just there. It's just there. And when
okay. So you're carrying open tabs in your mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean,
so if you had to write something down, would you do it on a computer or grab a pen?
Pen. Yeah.
Pen. Okay. All right. And how about you, Matt? Would you be a physical or a digital person?
So, in a perfect world, I'd be physical, but the problem, because the act of like tactile writing it down and printing it on paper or whatever, whether it's a dry erase board or whatever it is, I love my dry erase boards. Like I love
I got a feeling we're gonna have a dry erase board up here.
I dream about the day I just have like a room and it's
hello
board all around me.
Yep. See,
yeah, exactly. So so I would definitely like prefer to brain dump on something like a dry erase board but the problem is I'm never in the same space, and I very rarely like have a notepad with me. So I tend to use it digitally on my phone, but it doesn't work as well. Like I've noticed it doesn't work as well for me.
Yeah, I tried. I tried using my phone. My problem is I guess sometimes it because I'm trying. The minute I start relying on other stuff, I forget.
Right.
The minute I don't rely on anything, I have a tendency to remember. Right. And I mean, and this is going to sound really bad. It's the same way with my bank account. Mm-hmm. If I start writing down, if I went and did my register like you're supposed to do as an adult, but my brain has always got a running tally of what's in there, and I know, and my wife will go, hey, well, what's in there? Well, this is what's in there right now, and this is what's coming out. And then she'll look, and she goes, how do you know that? I'm like, because my brain has to work that way.
Yes.
So like literally Fridays, if I know I'm not going to be working much on Saturday, or if I am working Saturday and I know I'm not working Saturday night, literally before I disconnect, I always make myself a list. So that, and this is weird because I just instinctually do this now that I'm old and wise.
Old and wise.
Oh my God.
Instinctually do this. I literally will write everything. I will like brain dump and write everything out, and then honestly, it's like cathartic. Like it feels like I can let it go and go have fun. But like otherwise, yes. I'm like nervously trying to remember what I think I may have forgotten that next day.
No.
Especially if I go drink, which I never.
Here's
do.
Something. Okay, so my wife, again, I'll go back to I drive her crazy because I watch a ton of TV shows and series on Netflix and Amazon and Hulu and Paramount, and if I have to stop somewhere in them, I can go back 2 weeks later. This is where I was at on Paramount. This is where I was at on this one. And like on Netflix, I'm in the middle of 7 series right now. And I just remember where I'm at and which one. And she'll go, what are you watching? I'm watching this and this, and I'm here and I'm on, and I know the minutes in that I am. Like 1 minute, I'm on one show, I got interrupted. I'm 30 minutes and 17 seconds in, and I still got 23 minutes to go.
So I'm going to tell you this right now. 1, he's smarter than I am. And 2, I am way more OCD, I think, than you are. Because literally, I will, like, freak out if I will lose my mind. Until, like, okay, you ever have that, like, recurring nightmare where you feel like you might have left your door unlocked? I will have that 10 minutes from the house if I don't because I'm always on the phone. I'm always doing stuff. I'm very rarely, like, laser focused on one thing. So, like, it's very easy for me to be like, I don't remember if I locked the door. And then I will freak out until I find out if the door was locked or not.
So, are we crazy?
No, what's perfect. You guys just gave a perfect example of how quickly the mind jumps from one thing to another thing to another thing to another thing. And that's just an external representation of every single person's mind.
Right.
Every single person. So, it was a perfect example. The reason I think, John, your whole business is video and knowing, and your brain categorizes minutes and things when you're recording and documenting. So it makes perfect sense that you're doing that in what you're watching, because it's already an organizational technique that you have and a skill that you've built. So it makes perfect sense that you would, of course, know where you stand with each thing.
Oh, no.
What does it say? Running out of time.
We've got 10 more minutes.
Okay. All right.
He's got to get rid of it.
He's got to get rid of it, though.
Okay. I have a thing over my face. Okay. So when it comes to this, a really great way of doing this. So what you both also realized is when you write it down, so you naturally do this, it's a decompression list where if you have open cycles, just take 10 things and write them down and then make a decision about it. right? I'm going to get this one done on this day. I'm going to do this, and then assign it a time in your calendar and actually write it in your calendar so your brain can let go of it until it's ready to be done.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just one easy way to maintain. Now, I say this, but do people do it?
Nope.
Not unless
No.
you're going into a long weekend.
Correct, right? You do it because you want to be able to hang out and enjoy your weekend. And it's the only way that your brain will let you off the hook.
Literally. Yep.
So, right? So you do it on Fridays because the weekend is important for
Very
you.
rarely do I take or Saturday morning off, but like it's either.
But being able to do that,
Friday.
yeah.
It's just I don't want. So like for me, I have so many balls up in the air that I don't want to misstep or miss something because I know people
Yeah.
are relying on me for stuff.
Right.
So like
Exactly.
I would literally just freak out the entire time. I wouldn't be able to enjoy myself.
No.
Now you have a motivation. That's why. Now, John, I'm curious, what is it that you took away from my presentation?
Just to have a clear vision on what we do, because I sit down with clients all the time that and I find myself getting into their business side, which I shouldn't do. So I have to stop analyzing what they do, and I know. Before I would sit down here and I would go, oh yeah, well we can do this and this for you, and this is what we're strong in. Then all of a sudden I'd be like, but we can also do this, and we can also do this. Oh, by the way, we can also do this, and I'm not clear about getting to what we can do for them.
Yes.
I always find that, and that's what I told one of the groups. I said, if you can't figure out your clarity, what you're clear about what you do, you can't help anybody else.
Exactly. And if you're all over the place, people aren't going to feel comfortable working with you because they don't know that you're going to get the outcome for them that they're looking for.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So it's.
Yeah. It made. I mean, that was the light bulb. I'm like, okay, so I've got to stop going in and I know I can do all of these things, but I need to go in and go, this is what I can do for you, and this is how I'm going to help you.
I've really had to focus on like phases too, because one of the things that I've noticed, like for me personally, like when I'm doing business development or I'm like coaching somebody on their business, like one of the things for me is I tend to go straight to grand master plan.
Right.
Okay, like how do I take that business from where it's at right now to where it potentially could be? I look at the future potential and how do I get there? Most business owners don't have the clarity to be able to do that.
No.
They're too focused on. So I had to really knuckle down and be like, okay, phase one is your immediate wins. What can we immediately do to cause, like whether it's reorganization, doing the clarity mapping like Christiana does, what's that first win that we can get and how quickly can we get it? And then let's look at the progression of where we want to go.
Right. Exactly.
So you guys are talking about clarity on the outcome. So there's two different ways that you're looking at that. You're looking at the clarity of your outcome for your clients, but then also the outcome that the client is going to get. What is their life how is their life going to be different based on what you do for them? How is their life going to improve? So you're talking about it from that viewpoint. And again, it really comes down to you have to have your clarity first. First and foremost, right? And so how do you get that clarity? If you don't have it, one is, did you want to say something?
Yeah, so I know we're on a limited time frame, and I love where you were going there, but I just want you to really briefly explain the four clarity things that you were talking about, because you started touching on it, and it's...
Oh, okay.
Nobody here probably has heard of that strategy that you use there.
Okay, so there's four outcomes when it comes to your purpose. The first is your outcome. Everybody knows this. It's pretty basic. It's like, I want this many clients. I want this much revenue. We really have an idea. I want to have this many meetings. I want to have this result. So everybody's pretty clear on that. The challenge is most people have no idea their client's outcome. So if I'm a coach, I'll say, they're going to feel better. Okay, that's great, but that's not the client's outcome. The client's outcome is, you want to take it, you want to say, well, why me? What does this get me? So if I'm clearer or I'm happier or I'm more settled, okay, if I'm clearer, happy, and settled, what does that get me? You want to get in their head. Maybe it gets them in a position where they can finally expand their business. Maybe it's that they can actually get into a relationship and maintain a healthy relationship. Maybe it's it's positioning them where they're open to an opportunity where they could joint venture and actually create a whole new thing with their business. It's really getting clear on what the outcome is. So what's possible for them having worked with you. The other one that's really important is, what is your ideal lifestyle? So your ideal future lifestyle is what you're building going to sustain the lifestyle that you have, right? If you're working 90 hours a week, are you going to have that quality of life in your home, right? And have that quality of life that you want to build going forward. What works in your 30s and 40s does not work in your 50s and 60s and 70s. So really doing that midlife. Yeah, exactly, right? So it's doing that midlife review of making sure you're on track, because again, we focus on building in our 30s and 40s and even in our 50s, but that doesn't work with each decade, it adjusts. And then the last one is your ideal business. So are you setting up your business in a way that is going to be sustainable for what you want to be building in your growth phase? Or maybe you're in a maintenance phase and you're just happy and you have a great business and you're happy with what you've got. Or maybe it's a duplication phase, or wherever it is in your business, make sure it's set up in a way that you're actually going to be building something that feels good for you. Wow. Because a lot of times people will build something hitting a number that they want in their outcome, but it doesn't build the business that they're looking for.
Right.
So really being able to, how do you come into your life and do an evaluation where you're able to pull all those pieces out, look at your life and say, okay, I was just working with a client over the weekend and we mapped out her entire life and we realized 75% is spot on. She is killing it in her life. But in her business, the way she was setting it up is she was focusing on like when she was in her 40s, and she's not in that same phase. So what we did is we adjusted it, and she actually accelerated her timeline to get the result faster based on adjusting how she was going about it.
Awesome. Okay, so we don't have a ton of time left. So
Nope.
let's kind of wrap up here. I'm really happy that we were able to go back through and explain that, because I think that's super important for people to understand.
Yes.
And I love how all of those chain together, and the business part of things doesn't happen until you've got everything else figured out, right?
Correct.
Until you've got everything else figured out, you don't even know what you're really trying to build. So if you haven't yet, obviously you want to check out what Christiana has going on. Christiana, where can people get a hold of you? How do they find you?
Absolutely. You can find me at claritymapping.com. You are absolutely right there. You can book a free consultation right there. Go in, get a clarity consultation. We can figure out where you're at, what you're looking for, and what your best next steps are. Because unless you actually have a look, you could be going enthusiastically down the wrong path.
Yes,
There you
for
go.
sure.
Wow.
This episode and all things RGA can be found at rganetwork.net. What's that website, John?
rganetwork.net.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Christiana, for joining us for this first round of podcasts of the Revitalized Revenue Generating Hour. We look forward to seeing all of you soon, hopefully at a meeting near you, or you can find us online. So we'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks so much for joining us.
Have a good day.
Hi, this is Matt Coots, Chief Marketing Officer for RGA. I'm joined by
John Gasson, Area 52 Media Group.
Guys, we're super excited to announce the launch of our new podcast, Ignition Cycle, which is going to be a RGA podcast designed to help you grow your business. We're going to be bringing guests in both from inside RGA and from outside RGA, all with the goal of helping you to grow your business, create more exposure, just get better at doing the fundamentals and everything that's involved with that growth process.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, it is.
Because we all need to learn and grow. I mean, I'm a marketing guy. I've been in this world for 35 years and left RGA Speaks the other day and went, okay, I learned something. That's pretty good.
That's good. That's the goal. So here's what I would say. If you are new to business, if you have been in your business for a long time, if you're looking for a change in perspective, if you're trying to find a way to move outside of your area of expertise, maybe you're just trying to decide if you need help in a specific area. That's what Ignition Cycle is going to be about. It's going to be about helping you go to the next level learning what you don't know. Oftentimes what I say is, business owners, they get to a certain point, John, and they're the bottleneck in their business because they're trying to control too much. They're trying to be in everything, be a part of too much.
They can't get out of their own way.
They're so close to the tree that they can't see the forest, and there's all kinds of things going on that they're missing. So this is going to be about expansively creating growth in your business.
That's awesome. I mean, that's what we all need.
It is.
You got to feed yourself. It's just like got to pay yourself. You got to feed yourself, and you literally have got to get out of the way.
Yeah.
And the only way to do that is to learn from others.
Absolutely. And this is in conjunction with the RGA Speaks and our speaker series, our university, all in the same mission of bringing business education to you to help you grow your business. So we're really excited to launch this program in the upcoming weeks. I can't wait to roll it out to you guys, but whether you're a member or you're just out there on the grind and hustling, I can't wait to bring this to you as an added value, especially to our RGA members.
Yep, absolutely.
We'll see you soon.
Hello and welcome. Mark O'Donnell, President and founder of RGA, here to announce the Masquerade of Connections. It's our event at Tampa Palms on October 20th from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. It's the Masquerade of Connections. Don your mask and come meet the connections of North Tampa. It's $25. It includes 2 drinks and heavy hors d'oeuvres. We have some beautiful music, a lot of fun in store for you. We can't wait to connect you with the finest in New Tampa. So click the link below, reserve your spot. Space is limited, but the connections are not. Don't forget to don your mask. Hello, Mark O'Donnell here, President and founder of RGA, and I'm here to announce our Christmas party. I'm so excited because we have a few props. I'm here by the bar, and it gives you an idea of what we're going to be having at the Christmas party. We're going to have lots of liquor in the Prohibition Room, so be sure to don on your Roaring Twenties hat and join us for the Roaring Twenties Great Gatsby Christmas Party at RGA. We'll have a Prohibition Room with all kinds of liquor, and we'll be partying at the Clearwater Holiday Inn Beach. We're excited. It's November 17th. Click the link below for more information on sponsorships, getting a room if you want to spend the night, seeing the beautiful sunsets on Clearwater Beach. Don't forget, it's a Roaring Twenties party, and you'll be celebrating the holidays at our Prohibition Room bar. We can't wait to see you. So, cheers.
RGA, every day. RGA is focused on revenue generating activities in our communities. Priceless connections that we're creating. Wall Street networking, Main Street pricing in a fun and effective way. RGA.